Consolidating production.
Alrighty, yo, let's get into this oil video. So we're going to start off with the Usoil, and then we're going to go through a few of the names that I've been covering for the past few weeks there. So Usoil looks like it's doing a Burj Khalifa right here, right? So we have an absolute push in price. We drive up from like $94 straight up to 129 per barrel, and we're back at 100. So this could continue to go right back down into this base that we got here. So I'm going to be watching this zone to see if we come back into it. Overall, the trend is, we're obviously still in an uptrend. This 3 or 4 or 5 days where it's very much so bearish action is not a bad sign. Like, to be honest, oil could still potentially come back to this base and then try to rise up again. But for the most part, what we want to see, right, is from this high, we make somewhere a low, right, or a higher low in comparison. But then we want to see, where is this lower high going to come? Because in my opinion, what I think is going to happen is there's going to be some sort of period of consolidation, right? It could be a few months before we get that, breakout up higher again, if that's going to happen. So to be honest, we can mark out this zone now as a major resistance point in the chart, because for whatever reason, and let's look back and see if there's any potential resistance points. So the last time oil was near this range was in 2008. So there's definitely a lot of consolidation about to be coming up on the way, in my opinion. It's going to take us a long while to, break this zone if we're going to get any higher. So what we want to see in the next few weeks is, where are we going to base? I marked out this zone here, but as we look further to the left, we might potentially see something around this range, right? That's where we could potentially see a lower high. But I'll have that marked out just because that's where we have had previous confluence in 2008. So if anything, this chart might want to hang around this zone now, where we created a base from early February towards the beginning of March here. So I want to see, are we going to play in this range now, right? This could be somewhat of a zone where we are basing before we get a leg higher, which is potential. So I don't want to rule that out. If not, it looks like we might just have a Burj Khalifa style and we might come back down. So a lot of these names are going to relate to the way the US oil is printing. Like, we look at SGY, and same date, March 8th was the top. And we're starting to see that consolidation now. Just the other day, I made a video on us coming back into this range. I feel like the likelihood of that is pretty high, and I feel like that might be an area to buy the dip. I'm also going to mark out this upper trend line that we had going on, because we might want to come back into that range somewhere like this and, get that bounce in that area. Maybe use this as support before we try to make that new lower high. There's multiple different things happening, but overall, my overall idea is that we might come back down into this 774 range, or potentially backtest this trend line. CPG, we're getting the backtest right now. We're getting those big bearish days. When we look at earnings, they missed earnings. So that could be a reason why we're getting that bearish reaction now. So these charts, right? Think of it, they've been pushing. They've been pushing since 2020 lows, right? March 2020 up until now. We might need time for it to cool off. I'm not saying that the oil runs over. Like, to be honest, who knows what's going to happen? But overall, these zones are what we want to see. Are we going to potentially come back into this range if things get, further? And we would look at those areas as potential buy zones. ARX here is a very interesting name. We came up to this point in the chart, right? And we stalled out. So a lot of these names from December 2021 performed pretty nice. We might be seeing that period of time now where it's just time for them to cool off a bit. We want to hold that upper trend line for this upper trend line that's going downward for the bullish scenario. NOG. Now this name is interesting. We can mark out this trend line, big time hammer. We might want to weaken this zone again, right? We get into this range and it's a huge resistance point. So we might take a while to get that breakup over. And another thing that I'm starting to think about is, while oil is consolidating, we might see a push on all the other names in the market, because oil and a few other different commodities and precious metals had their time for the past 3 months where they were performing very well, more than 3 months even. So now that we're seeing this consolidation period come, we might be looking for a lot of other names in tech growth that could be getting a bounce now. So there might be a rotation back into those names, and that's something that I want to pay attention to, so don't sleep on that. PBR, major zone, right? This it's been going on since 2014, this resistance point. So this trend line's been holding us back, and we come right up to it, and if you look, there's some sort of a double top in this range. So I wouldn't really be surprised at this. It just needs more time to break up out of this. So this could be a few months, who knows? It could be a few weeks. But overall, these are the things that I'm watching right now, because right now it is clear that oil is going to be heading into a period of consolidation. Peace.